guys, I'm LittleBigOkey and welcome back to Destiny. The House of Wolves is just around the corner and today I thought I could talk you guys through everything we know about the House of Wolves so far. Before we begin, keep in mind that everything I'm about to say is subject to change, so take the information with a grain of salt. We will have a look at everything: story missions, strikes, raids, bounties, exotics, crucible maps, and more. The House of Wolves is an expansion focused around the Fallen and the Queen of the Reef. Personally, I think the Fallen is one of the most interesting enemies in the game, and everything about the Queen is a big mystery. So I hope we get to know a bit more about the Fallen and the Queen herself. First up, we're gonna take a look at the story missions. So far, there's been 3 story missions which have been leaked, and if you compare them to the leaked image back from January, this seems to be the only missions we get. The first mission is called Gone to Ground, which takes place in Old Russia. Its description says, search the cosmodrome for the wolf Kel who led the revolt against the Awoken. The second mission is called Wolf's Harvest, which takes place in the Ishtar Sink on Venus. Its description says, track down the Queen's traitorous wolves hiding among the House of Winter. The third mission is called the Terminus, which takes place on Venus. Its description says, hunt down the wolves Kel who have seized control over the Vex Citadel. There are apparently some bounties which is connected to the story missions, which can give us more information about the storyline. The first bounty is called Paskin, King Baron, where you have to defeat Paskin, King Baron in the Gone to Ground mission in the Cosmodrome. The second bounty is called Lixor, Wolfblade, where you have to defeat Lixor, Wolfblade in the Wolf Harvest mission on Venus. The third bounty is called Skolas, Wolf Kel, where you have to defeat Skolas, Wolf Kel in the Terminus mission on Venus. My guess is that we're gonna have some sort of a vendor, just like Eris Morn, to dish out certain bounties and questlines for the House of Wolves storyline. Let's have a look at the new strike. The strike is called Belly of the Beast, which takes place on the moon. Its description says, a fallen wolf ship holding an infamous walker has touched down in the Ocean of Storms. Breach the catch and see to this walker's end. You can already glitch your way into the area where this strike takes place, and you can actually see some gameplay of it in the background right now. My guess is that we're gonna fight a walker at the end of the strike. I personally think that walkers is one of the better bosses in the game. The reason for that is because it's a bit more Zelda-like, where you have to shoot him in the legs before you get to deal even more damage into the weak spot. This makes the boss less bullet spongy and a more enjoyable boss fight. We will also get a new Vanguard playlist called Vanguard Dragon, which will launch a random strike at level 28. Next up, let's have a look at the new raid coming in the House of Wolves. For the time being, the raid is called The Arena, which takes place in the Reef. Its description says, test yourself. This makes me super excited on so many levels. First of all, it's a new raid, but we're finally able to play around in the Reef. The only time we have visited the Reef before is in a cutscene, which we're forced to watch for then again to leave. What we have seen from certain leaks is that we may see modifiers in the raid as well, just as we do in the Nightfall strikes. I personally think this is gonna be a really cool raid and I can't wait to go in there with my raid team and kick some ass. Some of the newer leaks shows us that we may get a new social hub which is set in the Reef. As much as I love the tower on Earth, I simply think that would be really cool to have a second social hub. We may already have a tiny glimpse on how the Reef social hub looks like. If we go back in time, back to the E3 demo in 2013, where we can see a hunter walking around in the Reef in third person without any weapons. Now, if this is true, I have a lot of questions. Will the Reef social hub have their own Cryptarch or their own Vanguard vendors? Will yours show up in the Reef? And what about poor Tess Everest, the vendor which is in the tower but no one pays attention to? Bungie, please? Next up, let's have a look at the exotic armor which is coming with the House of Wolves expansion. Each class is getting 3 new armor pieces and the Warlock gets an exotic helmet called the Ram. Its unique perk, the Ram Arises, disorients nearby enemies when you're activating Radiance from Death. Warlocks also get a new chest piece called Purify Robes. Its unique perk, Burn Brighter, makes enemies to explode by your ignite effects. Warlocks also get a new pair of gauntlets called Nothing Manacles. Its unique perk, the Cold Equation, grants you a shield every time you kill someone with your Void Light abilities. Next up, let's have a look at the new exotics for the Titan. Titans gets a helmet called Eternal Warrior. Its unique perk, Resolute, provides Unstoppable for Fist of Havoc. Titans also get a new pair of gauntlets called ACDO Feedback Fence. Its unique perk, Rat Conductors, deals damage in an area around you if you're taking damage from a melee attack. Titans also get a new pair of boots called Purging Graves. Its unique perk, Purging Strike, gives Trolley Charge bonus damage when it's activated in the air. And finally, let's have a look at the exotic gear for the Hunter. Hunters gets a new helmet called Exotac Angel Hunter. Its unique perk, Angel Hunter, significantly increases your weapon's accuracy for a short time after jumping. Hunters also get a new pair of gauntlets called Ikahika's Hooks. Its unique perk, Touch of Venom, deals additional damage over time if you hit an enemy while invisible. Hunters also get a new pair of boots called Unremarkable Bones. Its unique perk, Not Bound by Law, upgrades double jump with an additional jump. Let's have a look at the exotic weapons which comes with the House of Wolves expansion. I'm gonna be quite surprised if this is the only new exotic weapons in the expansion, but this is what we know about so far. We have an exotic scout rifle called 347 Vestal Dynasty, and an exotic shotgun called Lord of Wolves. I'm not gonna go in much detail about these weapons in this video, but this is what we know about so far. Let's have a look at what we can look forward to when it comes to the Crucible. There are supposedly 4 new Crucible maps which is coming in the House of Wolves, and the first map is called Widow's Court, which takes place in the European Dead Zone on Earth. Next up, we have a map called Black Shield, which takes place on Firebase Turia on Phobos. We also have a map called Thieves' Den, which is set in the Ishtar Sink on Venus, and a map called The Timekeeper, which is set in Meridian Bay on Mars. There's also a play mode called Hardcore, but there's not much information to find about it yet. Now, there are also some other interesting news that we know will change in the House of Wolves. Bungie's game designer, Luke Smith, talked about some of the changes which is coming in this expansion in a post on NeoGAF. First up, we have exotic weapon and armor upgrades. When the Dark Below came out, you got the chance to upgrade your exotics to match the new stats, by trading in your current exotic with a large amount of glimmer and an exotic shard. If you handed in a fully upgraded exotic, you then had to re-upgrade it. Luke Smith says that this was a mistake and it is something you don't have to do again in the House of Wolves. Luke Smith also said that selling level 31 armor and making your hard-earned raid armor completely redundant was a mistake, and this is something they will try to prevent in this expansion. I guess there is one question that we all want an answer to, and that is, when is the House of Wolves coming out? The news leaks indicates that May 19th may be a possible date. What Bungie have said is that the House of Wolves is coming out in quarter 2, and I personally think that May 19th is fairly accurate. We will also have a patch before the release of the House of Wolves, which comes out sometime in April. That patch includes more world space, audio adjustments, colorblind mode, and more. My pal and fellow YouTuber MoreConsole have made a video where he goes through this patch in more detail. You'll find a link to that video in the description box below. And that, my friends, is everything we know about the House of Wolves so far. This expansion is shaping up to be a really cool expansion, and I can't wait to put a lot of time into it. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below, and let me know what you think of me making this kind of video. This is something I usually don't do, but when I do, I want to put some effort into it. Also, let me know what you think about the expansion so far in the comments below. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, and I will see you all in a little bit time. So stay awesome.